What's up, guys? Hilton here with Yellow Sky Actions, and today I'm going to be talking about how to use your textures for the vintage book set for Photoshop CS3 and up, and also Photoshop Elements 6 through 10. So first we're going to start in Photoshop CS3 and up. Alright, so I have this awesome image in here, and I've already installed my textures. And so I have the vertical texture action and I've got the horizontal texture action. And as you can see, this is a horizontal image, so I'm going to be using the YSA Texturizer horizontal. So all I'm going to do is click this, and then you have a box that pops up, and it says basically, after you hit the continue button below, browse to find your YSA texture folder, and then select the text you would like to work with and click the place button. So we're going to hit continue, and then it says to drag the corners to fit your image however you like. Then double click on the image to set it and continue the action, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to hit continue. Alright, now your browser pops up to search for the textures, and this goes back to the installment, installing your own textures. So in the installment, I show you guys how to, and I tell you guys to drag the YSA Vintage book set to the desktop. And the reason to do that is so when this browser pops up, you can just click on desktop, find the folder, which is YSA Vintage book set, click on it, and then you have all of your textures you could choose from right here. So you have a Revelation, Arctic Blast, and you can view them on the right, Blaze, and so on. So we're going to be using Butch and the Kid for this tutorial. And all you do is click open. Then the next step, you want to drag this all the way to the edge, cover the whole image, as well as on this side. And then when you have that image covered, all you want to do is double click. And then you have the texture. See, now you have this texture layer. Now, this whole layer right here, as you can see, the blending modes pass through. So do not ever change the blending mode for this layer right here. I'll show you which layer you want to change. You can change the blending modes for. Okay, so click that arrow, and you've got all these layers in here. You got the dodge it, the burn it. You've got the decolorize, which I will go over in a second. You've got the detexturize layer, which I will go over in a second. And then here is the blending mode layer. This is the only layer right here that you want to use to ever change your blending modes. See, as you can see, it's set on soft light. So if I wanted to change it to overlay, I could do that to get more of a dramatic feel. If I wanted to change it to multiply, I can do that as well. Color burn, and so on. So this blending mode layer, hence blending mode layer, is the only layer you want to use for the blending modes. And you can also brush off, click on this white mask, and you can click over here, this black square right here, to brush off the blending mode, which will brush off the texture and the color as well. I've got set on a low opacity, but see? And then you can just brush it back on by clicking on the white. But I'm going to show you a better way to do it. So this layer right here, I typically only use for blending modes. I don't ever mask it. I just use it for blending mode. So I'm going to take it back down to overlay, and I'm going to drop the opacity of this layer. It said it's set at 100. I'm going to drop it to, let's do 72. Next step, here's the detexturize layer. You want to click on that, and what the detexturize layer is it's a layer that you can use to brush off the texture. It doesn't brush off the color, just the texture. So as you can see here, this is texture on her face, on her arms, that's texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this black mask. I'm going to click on make sure the foreground's white, got the brush selected, and we're going to take this down to around 40-50%, okay? we're going to start right here and we're going to brush just the texture off. And watch that texture just start to go away. Beautiful. Alright? So you have no texture on her, but you have texture all around her. And that's the beauty of this action. You can make it your own. You can go in and customize it and brush off the texture. Next, we can, if you want to, you can click on the decolorizer. And what the decolorizer is to brush away the color. So again, I'm going to click on the mask and I'm going to click on the white foreground. Let's keep it at 47% opacity, and I'm going to brush over this texture to show you guys that it will not brush away the texture, but just the color. Look at that. I'll do it on her face as well. How cool is that? So now I'm going to go back, and if I want to brush that color back on, I'm going to click on the black foreground, brush it right back on there. Easy peasy, guys. I'm going to brush it back over here. All right. Now, the dodge it, burn it. For those of you guys who have our actions already, you already know what those are. We just include that in these texture actions to give you the opportunity to tweak your images up even more. So, like her dress, if we wanted to darken her dress a little bit, just go to burn it, make sure the foreground's white. I'm going to drop the opacity down to around 20% and just darken that dress up. And here's the before and the after. As you can see, more detail on her dress. All right, so now we're going to go back. I'm going to customize it a little bit, and I'm going to show you how we can run even more textures on each image without having to flatten it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this decolorizer, and I'm going to brush away some of this color off of her face. Just a tad. Even her dress. Make that dress a little more white. Okay? Alright. We've already used the detexturizer. I really like the texture around this area right here. And the blending mode, I like the blending mode at overlay, even though you can switch it to whichever you prefer. Okay, so again, don't ever mess with the blending mode on this layer. Okay? Just use the blending modes for this layer, called the blending mode layer. Alright, now we're going to use another texture. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to click horizontal again, continue, continue. Then I'm going to pick another texture from my desktop. And let's see here. Oh no. Kind of like Moonwalk. Moonwalk's cool. Let's scroll down here and see what else we got. Let's do Sweet Disposition. I like those pinks. I'm a pink kind of guy. All right, here we go. Click OK. We're going to drag to the edges. Make sure the whole image is covered, and all we're going to do is double click. Cool. All right, so I'm going to go inside this this action. Remember not to change the blending mode for this layer, this whole action right here. So we're just going to go in. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the blending mode for this texture, and I'm just going to experiment a little bit. I'm going to go to multiply, see what that does. Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to go to multiply, and I'm going to drop the opacity Let's drop it to 55%. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to this detexturize layer. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to brush the texture off of her, off of the subject. Foreground white, brush. We're going to take the opacity up. Let's do it 45%. I love it. You can brush this texture off without having to mess with the color. You can keep the color. You can brush the color off without having to mess with the texture. It's just a win-win, guys. It's so easy to work with. It's just cool. All right. So I've done that. And I'm digging the color. I really am digging this color setup we got going over here. So here's a before. And then here's an after. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. But you know what? Let's just see what it looks like when we brush some of that color off. That's cool. I kind of like leaving the color in this area down in here. Maybe brush it off a little bit over here. That's cool right there. Maybe just brush the color off of her and then keep the color on the background. See, that's why I love it. You can always just customize it to your own liking. That's the beauty of it. I'm going to brush this color back on the background. And then I'm just going to take it off of her. Even the dress, make that more white. That's cool right there. That's really cool. So that's how you do, that's just an example of using a horizontal texture action in the textures in Photoshop CS3 and up. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do a vertical image, a vertical texture action and work with our textures in Photoshop Elements. And it goes the same. It's exactly the same both for Elements and Photoshop. Okay. So we've got Elements here. All right. And here are the textures. You got the texture vertical and the texture horizontal. We're going to run the vertical. Same thing. Just double click it. It gives you that pop-up box that says after you hit the continue button below, browse to find your texture, hit continue, and then it shows you how to use it. Drag the corners to fit your image. Okay, continue. And now it's going to find, it's going to give you an option to find your textures, which should take a second. All right. Right there on the desktop, YSA Vintage Book Set, easy peasy. Okay. Kind of like Dowdy Dune. Let's try the explosion in the sky. All right, so we're going to place it. And all we're going to do is drag those corners down. And then double click. Now it's going to pop up an option, and it only does this in Elements, and it doesn't mean anything. So just hit OK. It's not going to affect anything. It's not going to affect your pixels or the resolution or anything. It's just the texture. And once you double click on that texture, everything will go back and be perfect, you know, and perfectly normal. And watch what it does. Okay, so we've got right now, we're going to go down to the blending mode layer, and I'm going to mess with the blending mode just to experiment a little bit. Let's try multiply. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I like that. I'm digging the color burn. Okay, so we're going to go to the detexturizer, and we're going to click on the white foreground, and all we're going to do is we're going to brush it off this subject at around 40–50%. That's a beauty. You can run so many textures on one image. You know, I'm addicted to this thing. Love these. Love it. Love it. Just love it. All right. So I've brushed that away. I need to click on the default. Okay. I'm digging everything else. I mean, it really doesn't need to be darkened, lightened. So I'm gonna go back in, and with the elements, since it can't, you know, you can group, you can use the grouper action from, if you own our elements actions, you can use the grouper action to group it. But I suggest just flattening it and running another texture on here. All right, so we're gonna hit vertical, texture vertical again. Double click it. Continue, continue. Let's run Blossom Punch. That's pretty cool. Same thing, drag to the edge. Double click. Hit OK. All right, we're going to go back down to this blending mode. That's wicked. Okay, so we're going to go to this detexturize. Actually, you know what? I'm going to drop the blending mode down. Let's drop the opacity. That's pretty cool. All right, we're going to go to the detexturize, foreground white. I'm just going to take it off this subject. Just like that. Now we're going to go to, I'm going to go to the decolorize, and we're going to take some of this color off, just a bit, just a touch. Perfect. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Now I'm just going to flatten it, and you can run as many textures as you want, and really customize it. You can run textures. You can run half a texture here up top. You can brush away. You can run another texture and brush away up top, and then have it to where it's down below. I mean, there's so many things you could do, and I'm going to be doing so many different tutorials now that we are launching these new texture products. So I can't wait to do more tutorials to help you guys out. Yeah, I'm going to show you a quick before of this image. Here's a before, and then here's the after. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Dramatic. Loving the texture on the edges. Just loving it. So yeah, I hope this helps, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. Like I said, I'm going to be doing many more tutorials on our texture actions. And yeah, so you guys have a great night.